Today, we're going to take a look at the official story of September 11th. We're going to explore the attacks, the absolutely massive investigation that followed, and really see how that one day completely changed the world we live in, all through the lens of the official case files. To really grasp the scale of what happened, I think the FBI's own words say it all. These weren't just attacks. They were the single most lethal terrorist acts in all of history. That fact, right there, really set the stage for the unbelievable challenge that investigators were about to face. For anyone on the East Coast that day, it was a beautiful, clear morning. Just a completely ordinary Tuesday. And it's that very normalcy, that makes what happened next so incredibly jarring. A day that started just like any other was about to become a defining moment for an entire generation. Just look at how fast everything happened. At 8:46 a.m., people thought it might have been some kind of horrible accident. But just 17 minutes later, when that second plane hit, there was no doubt. The nation was under attack. Then came the Pentagon, and then the absolute unthinkable, the towers themselves collapsing. It was just a rapid, coordinated, and utterly devastating series of events. But in the middle of all that chaos, there was this story of just incredible heroism. While 3 planes hit their targets, the 4th one didn't. The passengers and crew on Flight 93, they learned what was happening from phone calls to their loved ones, and they made the decision to fight back. Their actions likely saved countless lives and prevented another catastrophic attack, probably in Washington, D.C. So, in the immediate aftermath, as the dust was literally still settling, the largest criminal investigation in the history of the FBI kicked off. It had an official code name, Pent Bomb. The name itself, Pentabomb, it really tells you about the sheer scale of this thing. It's an acronym for the 3 crash sites, Pennsylvania, the Pentagon, and the Twin Towers. I mean, think about this. At its peak, this one single case had more than half of the entire FBI working on it. Incredibly, within just a few hours, the FBI was already starting to figure out who was responsible. 19 hijackers, all of them trained by al-Qaeda. What's so chilling is how they prepared. The 4 men who piloted the planes had actually taken flying lessons right here in the United States, basically hiding in plain sight while they plotted this whole thing. It's one thing to say the investigation was massive. It's another thing entirely to see the actual numbers. They really put into perspective just how unprecedented this whole effort was. Okay, first, let's talk about the sheer manpower. More than 7,000 FBI personnel were involved. That's over 4,000 special agents and another 3,000 professional staff. This wasn't just some headquarters operation. It pulled people from 55 of the FBI's 56 field offices. Then you have the insane volume of information. Agents followed up on over 500,000 investigative leads. Just try to wrap your head around that. They had to sort through every single tip, every clue from every corner of the globe to piece together the full picture of the plot. And the crash sites, they were the largest crime scenes the Bureau had ever dealt with in its entire history. From just those 3 locations, forensic teams collected and painstakingly processed over 150,000 individual pieces of evidence. And of course, there was the digital evidence. The amount of data was just overwhelming. In the first month alone, computer experts had to sift through 35 terabytes of information. It was an analytical challenge on a scale that nobody had ever seen before. But behind all these staggering numbers from the investigation, there's an even more important number, the human cost. So let's shift our focus from the case itself to the people whose lives were tragically lost. 2,976. That is the official number of lives that were taken on September 11th. It's a number that has been etched into our history, and it's a stark, stark reminder of the scale of this tragedy. But they were never just a number. They were over 400 first responders who ran towards the danger when everyone else was running away. There were 658 people from a single company. There were a 2-year-old little girl who was excited to go to Disneyland and an 85-year-old man on his way to a wedding. And they left behind nearly 3,000 children who would have to grow up without a mom or a dad. The impact of that day didn't end when the recovery efforts were over, not even close. In fact, it was really just the beginning. The events of 9/11 set off a global transformation, leaving a legacy that we are all still living with today. The aftermath was swift, and it was global. A war on terror was declared, which led to military action in Afghanistan. The way we all experience air travel was changed forever, with all sorts of new security measures.
And, in the name of safety, governments expanded surveillance programs, trying to connect the dots that had been missed before. An entire generation of us has now grown up in this post-9/11 world.
And today, right where the towers once stood, there's now a powerful place for remembrance. The 9/11 Memorial and Museum was built not just to honor those who were lost, but to tell their personal stories, stories of loss, recovery, and hope, to make sure that future generations will always understand what happened on that ground. The whole story just shows how a single day can literally divert the river of history. And it leaves us with a really fundamental question. In a world with so many fleeting headlines, how do we hold on to the lessons of a day like this? And how do we make sure that never forget is more than just a phrase?